Hey everybody, welcome into Rock Painting 101, where we give you fun, new rock painting ideas that anybody can create. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you do, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get painting. None of these designs are super complicated. They're just a lot of fun to inspire you. So the first one we're going to do here, we're going to start by placing a heart on our stone. And you know, I haven't shown this trick in a little while. I'm going to do it today. If you have a hard time freestyling your hearts onto your rocks, take a Post-it note or a piece of paper. I like to use a Post-it note because you have that little bit of sticky side. We're going to fold it in half, sticky to sticky here. Okay, and then we're going to cut out a half of a heart. And we're going to make the point where it's nice and sticky like that. And peel it apart carefully. That one was extra sticky. It actually stuck together a little bit, but that way you can place it on your stone. Then you have a nice heart design. Oh, my sticky, oh no, it's still sticking. Then you have a nice even heart shape to work with, and then you can just trace to outline that heart. So if you're not good at the freehand, that's okay. This is an easy way for you to get a heart onto your stone, nice and even. For us to start with here. So I guess instead of shouting out where you're watching from, you can shout out your favorite football team. That's kind of fun as well. So we've got our heart onto our stone here, and now we're just going to pick our two colors that go with our team. And we're going to color it half and half. We're not going to blend or anything in the middle. There's going to be something in the middle here anyway, so just kind of split your rock in half and start coloring it in. Now, when I'm coloring big spaces with these extra fine tips, I always hold them more on their side angle so you're not rubbing down the actual tip. I'm not going to go all the way to the black quite yet because I don't want to accidentally pull any of that black in. It might still be just a little bit wet. So just kind of fill as close to that line as we can without actually bumping it at this point. Uh-oh, we got another Cardinals. There we go. So, got one color down. And I see somebody, Michelle, you say hockey. So, a couple of these designs can be transferred to other sports with slight modifications. A few of them are going to be very football related, but you could still make adjustments for whichever one you're doing. Oh, let's make sure we're flowing real good here. We're going to get the other side filled in. So you may be able to guess, if you watch a lot of football, what my favorite football team is now that I'm adding my second color. So if you have a guess, you can put that in the comments. See who can guess it first. I'm filling in here. But like I said, this is a really simple and easy design to create. This one's probably the easiest of the three, but I thought I'd start with something nice and simple first. They're all nice, easy. There it is. Yep, Linda guessed it. Leslie's got it right. So I've been a fan for a long time. I can age myself and say I've loved him since Brett Favre. So we'll go as close as we can. Again, I don't want to actually blend these colors together. So we're going to just nice and close there. We're going to let those kind of dry. The black is dry, so I'm going to come back with my green and get nice and close to my edge now. And I'm going to try to not actually bounce around between my 4 different designs while I'm painting. That way I can split them up into multiple tutorials later without giving myself a headache. All right, so we got the green all the way to the edge. We'll go back with the yellow. But don't worry, like I said, these will all be interchangeable between teams. I'm not going to go draw on any cheese or anything today. Okay. All the way out the edge. And we need these pretty close together, but they don't actually have to touch because we're going to come back here with our design. They're your second favorite team. Well, that I will take it. I will take that. All right, so we want that yellow to get a little bit more dry. We don't want to accidentally pull that in, so we're going to give this just a second here to dry. I've got my black and a white here that I'm going to be using. Is anybody else having like connection issues, or is it showing up okay? Give me a thumbs up if it's okay, because I keep getting little connection things on my iPad popping up. It's going right back to the video pretty quick, but just curious if that's happening for anybody else. So we're going to come right through the center here with our black. We'll do a straight line here first, so we don't have to worry about the color too much. And it's still a little bit wet. Connection's good. Okay, good. So hopefully it was just, it might be my internet, I don't know. No issues. Okay, good. Let's go ahead. I was going to outline the outside one more time. I'm going to do that now so that our colors have a little bit more time to dry, just to thicken it up just a little bit. My plan of not bouncing around my impatient painting self on my lives might not allow it. Maybe I'll do 2 at a time. We'll bounce between 2 designs at a time. How about that? All right, so we're going to give that a second. I don't want to rush it and have it mess up on me. So we're going to set this guy off to the side here, and we're going to start on design number 2. This one's also a heart. We're going to use our Post-it notes again on this one. So this time I'm going to be extra careful here. We're going to do a tiny little heart. You could use a sticker for this too if you have a heart sticker lying around. And this is a style that we've done before for fall themed. You could do this for any theme. See if I can get this peeled back apart. These are like the stickiest Post-it notes I've ever had. No, I can't get it. The whole heart landed in the sticky area. The joys of life. Hang in there. We're going to do another one a little further up on my piece of paper here. You just want to have enough so that it kind of stays on there. So we're just going to put this right on our stone. You have to have just enough sticky so that it doesn't move around on you. And I like to take my darkest color first. So on this set, it's going to be green first. But if you have 2 dark colors, you can just pick one that you want to use first. And we're going to start dotting around our heart. And we are going to create dots all the way along our line here, almost to the point where it's a solid line. But you want to use a dotting motion and then work your way out onto your stone about halfway to the outer edge. And the closer you are to the heart, the thicker you want to create these dots, or the closer together. Just make sure that you're using a very up and down motion so that they're circles and you don't end up with a bunch of dashes. And get that line where you meet your Post-it really well, so that when we peel up this heart, you can see the heart left behind. Just like that. Just work your way all the way around. Try not to put your finger onto anywhere where you've gotten your dots, but I am pressing this Post-it down. the stick isn't going to be enough to give it a sealed edge everywhere. It's just so that it's not moving on you. Like when you pick up and rotate, it won't actually bump up. Now, if you don't have that, you could roll a piece of Scotch tape or painter's tape to like hold just a little scrap piece of paper in place. And once you've got your dots all the way around, we're going to carefully lift it up here. I don't have my X-Acto. Just get something that I can get underneath there. That didn't work. Pointier one, here we go. So that we can peel up this heart. And then we're gonna add our yellow dots, but I don't want them to blend together. So for now, we've got the little heart there in the green, and then we'll come back through. And we will add some of the yellow ones all the way up along the edge because the brightness will probably help that pop a little bit. I guess on a darker rock, maybe having the light color in the center would work to do that as well. So we'll play with that too here, but we're gonna swap back. Like I said, we're gonna work between these two rocks. So the next thing we're gonna do here is add our stitching of where like a football stitching would be. So I'm just going to do 3 horizontal lines here, and I'm going to make them thicker than the paint pen line. So we'll start by spacing them out, 1, 2, 3, but I want them thick enough that I can come back in and add white. So we're going to thicken each one of them up and fill them in. And then we're gonna create that thickness up and down as well. And then the rest of the line, a little bit past on either side, and then the rest of the line can just be your skinny line. Maybe we're still a little bit wet. This rock is kind of smooth, so it's not really soaking in the paint very well, but we're gonna get there. So we'll let that set a second over here, and we're gonna go back in. Our green dots are pretty well absorbed, so we're going to start with our yellow. So now here I'm going to start on the outside, creating our yellow dots, and then work my way in to our heart so that you have both colors represented. We'll do them thick out here and work our way in. I kind of slow down when I get towards that center a little bit. You can speed up when you're on the outside, just so you don't accidentally get carried away and put a dot right in the center of your heart. So we'll go in here and get a few, and we'll probably go right along that edge so that you can really see that heart shape in the center. Like that. That really helps that heart shape pop. So I would take back my original statement. If you're on a darker rock, I should have done the yellow on the inside. If you're on a lighter rock, you do the darker color on the inside. Basically, whichever one would contrast the most with your rock should be closer to your heart, ideally. So sometimes we live and learn. I've done this design before on a white rock, and that's why my instinct was to do that green in the center, but we live and learn. I'm always learning new things too. So we're just gonna go all the way around here, filling these in. And then we're gonna come back with some more green as well to even it all out when it's all said and done. This is so easy to do, especially if you have paint pens. If you don't have paint pens, you could do this with dotting tools, but it would be a lot of back and forth between your tools and your paint, like a lot of back and forth. So it's definitely doable, but it would be pretty time consuming. These paint pens work perfect for this to give you this very pointillism style look. Okay. You can definitely see our heart better now with that yellow in there. So I'm actually going to go in and add a few more right around there. And then we'll come back with the green and really add that second color back in there because right now it's very yellow. There we go. That's so cute though. Okay. Black is still looking wet over here. Using a blow dryer on live though, it's very noisy, so I don't want to do that. I think I'm going to go back and do my green dots here first. And then if it's not dry, we'll just move on to our next design, which is probably my favorite one. So hopefully you guys like it too. So we're just going to go in here and add some more green, bring some of those really all the way out to the edge. Just the closer you are to the middle, the thicker they are, but you can bring them all the way out to intermix them with your yellow or whatever your second color is. There we go. This is a very subtle nod to the team. You can hide these around if you live in a local area with the team as well. And other people might just see it as a pretty heart. Okay. Isn't that cute? And so simple. Perfect 101 style rock. All right, this football heart is really being stubborn on its dry time. So we're gonna give that some time to dry. So breaking all my own rules. Wasn't gonna bounce between, but now I am. So the next one we're going to do is one of our fun, simple gnomes. We're going to give him a fun patchwork style hat that is fun to fill with your team colors. So a lot of people have seen me do my gnomes before, but I'm still going to break it down in case it's your first time. First thing you want to do is figure out where you want your hat to go. So we're going to go all the way up, and I love having his hat kind of out to the side and folding over. I think it always looks so cute when they're folded. So then we'll fold back up and then come straight down and add the top of his hat just like that. And we're going to place our big, huge gnome nose. Now some people like to hide the eyes. I still like to have my eyes. If you want his hat all the way up to his nose, that's fine. You can do that as well. Then we'll create our beard coming down. And then I like to do two little shoes popping out sometimes. Sometimes I leave them underneath the beard, but for this it's a great place to add another little pop of color. So now we're gonna come up here and we're just gonna divide his hat into different triangle shapes, triangles, squares, whatever shape, patches we're gonna do here for his hat to create kind of this patchwork hat. We'll have like a quilt look to it. And we'll let that dry. I'm gonna go in and fill in his beard white first because that will most likely need a second layer. So we go in with our white first. Again, I'm using the side of it because I'm filling in a larger space so I don't wear my tip down. And you can fill a lot faster using the side. Come all the way around here. Now I will go right up to that black because I don't even care if a little bit of black gets pulled in. I'm actually gonna add a dab or two of black to pull it in here in a second anyways, because I like to have a little bit of gray notes in their beards so they're not just stark white. So once you've got it filled, we're going to come in with our black, and I'm just going to do a couple little dabs along the bottom of black, and then I'm going to blend it in just to kind of give it a little bit more of a gray tone. And it's not a lot. Make sure you're pulling your stripes straight up and down when you do this so that your hair is flowing downward. And it's not going to make a huge difference, but it's kind of subtle, but I like to do that. And then make sure you doodle off the edge of your paint pen. Give it a little pulse if you need to get that paint really flowing through that tip so you get back down to white. See how we're all the way back down to white. And I was using the side, so make sure you twist it so you don't have any on the side. I'm gonna fill in his peachy skin here too, so I can come back and add eyes later. And his nose. Okay, and then we're going to start filling in our patchwork. So I've got my 2 colors. You can do some solid patches of fabric, and then you can do some patterned patches of fabric. So I'm just going to go through and fill in a couple plain green and a couple striped greens. So we'll go plain green here, and then let's just do some stripes over here. And then we'll do maybe some stripes going in this direction on this one. And a plain green. Okay, and then so if that's yellow and that's yellow, we'll go ahead and do this one striped as well. And then this big one up here can be yellow, and we'll do this one. Let's do stripes here, and then we'll do green in the tip here. There we go. I'll fill in my solid color yellow ones here first so that that green dries. Oh, look at that, I had a little bit of green in there. All right. Go right in. Let's go ahead and do this foot down here while I've got it open. Those green stripes are a little damp still, so I'm going to give them another second or so to dry before I go in with that. I'm going to do this green shoe like that. All right. Now, whenever I have my gnome holding anything, I always have his little hands sticking out from his beard. And so you can just create those little dots here. I'll outline them in a little bit. Give those their first coat. And then I do have a brown over here that I'm going to use. I'm going to have him holding a little football. But we're going to give him a second on that. All right, let's go back and add our yellow stripes. And you could do whatever pattern you want for your patterns. You could do polka dots, you could do stripes, you could do patterns in each of these shapes, but the solid colors I feel are pretty easy. Stripes are pretty easy, but like all of the tutorials I do, it's a jumping off point, right? Once you see a few of these little designs, you can take them wherever you want design-wise, make them as tricky as you want. Okay, so there's all of his. Oh, it's so cute. I love the patchwork look. It's so cute. You know what? I think there's actually one more little, there we go, line there on the outside. Okay, his beard is looking pretty dry. Let's go ahead and outline his hands and place his football shape. Probably end up coming back over these in a little bit because his beard's still a little bit wet. And this heart is just really holding on here, but we're gonna go ahead. I can't tell, it looks really shiny to me. Like maybe if I take, I can't tell if it's wet, but the worst way to check if something's wet is to touch it with your finger, which is what I have a strong desire to do. But I'm not going to do it. I've got one more design I'm going to get started. I'm going to let this guy dry a little bit and we'll go on to the last one. So this one is, the main reason I wanted to do this one is I wanted to show you how to do a 3D number sign, or hashtag, as a lot of people use it as now, because it's not that difficult to make once you've seen one. Okay, so we're going to do a number 1 symbol. So first thing you want to do is create a square, and that is going to be the center of your number sign. So above the square, you want to leave yourself a gap. So above the square, we're going to do kind of a square edged U shape like that. And then we're going to repeat that on each side. Try to stay equal distance from the center. Like that, all the way around. Okay. See that, how it's making its shape already? And then we're gonna fill each corner. So we're gonna go, make sure that you guys can see really good. You're gonna go out, down, like that, and then over. Okay, so we're gonna repeat that in all 4 corners. So again, we're gonna go over to the side. I'm using the same distance as that gap there. Down, try to line up with this one to go out. And then you can just add to your lines if they're not quite long enough when you get there. Okay, so we're gonna go out, down, over, down. And last one here, out, down, over, down, just like that. And now you've got a 3D number sign, hashtag. You could use this for whatever you want. And then we're just gonna make a giant number 1 here. Okay, if you have a favorite player, you could do a number with his on there too. So I'm going to fill this in with a fun checkerboard pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and line it out here first. These corners create little squares. So you can just create squares on each of these intersecting points. And just like that, you've got a checkerboard filled in pattern. Now for the number 1, I'm going to split it in half all the way down and then create my checkerboard pattern that way. Here we go. All right, we're going to let that black dry a little bit and then we'll fill it in. But see how simple that is? All right, let's give our gnome a couple little eyes here while we have our black out. All right, and then we're going to start doing our patchwork pattern. So we're going to realign each one of these shapes individually like they're a piece of fabric. And then except for where it meets his head, I always like to add some sort of stitching on every side that connects the pieces together. So like between the green and the stripe here, you can make like a little X. Off to the side, you can make these little single lines kind of sticking out like that. So now we'll go over to this yellow. You can just add one little stitch there, maybe a little V stitch over here. And it really gives it kind of a playful patchwork. He's been running around, his head's a little worn. He's been cheering at the game really hard. Look. So we're gonna outline all of them. And add all those stitches. Okay, you can even add a little stitch off the tip, just like that. Just these little whimsical pieces in all different directions. Oh, he's so cute. All right, I got to fill in that football so that has time to dry, so we can add a little stitching to that here at the end. But this guy's definitely a favorite. There's that. And I'm going to actually add another layer to his hands because it was a little bit wet when I had placed those. There we go. Probably should have done another layer on his face too, but yeah, I don't want to get that black pulled in. So there we go. He's almost done. Just a little stitching on that football is all it needs to be a final touch on that guy. All right, for this checkerboard, just fill it in like a checkerboard. I mean, that's simple enough, right? So back and forth, every other one. You can decide which color you want to have more of on this, because it's going to go every other color in every other direction, just like that. So we'll fill those in. And hopefully our football heart will be dry enough for me to go in and finish. It's being very stubborn. But that just goes to show you different styles of rocks take paint differently. And it doesn't matter if you're using paint pens or acrylic paint, the amount of porousness to the rock, I don't even know if that's a real word, but I think you know what I mean. The amount of that really changes how much paint it absorbs. So we've done 3 rocks almost since I put that black down, and it's still soaking in nice and slowly, which is okay. Once it's done, it'll be fine. Rest of these fill in green. Some of these edges are a little bit bigger than a square. Maybe I could have added 2 blocks in those. But I think it looks cute with the 4 dots of the same color. All right, that guy's done. His football's gonna be a second. All right. So this is the joy of live. It's either gonna completely not work here. I'll make sure my paint's flowing really well so I can try to set it on top. I'm going to do a very small portion here to see. So I'm laying it on top. I am trying really hard not to press down here, just so that I don't pull in any of that black. Okay, and then you can even add kind of a stitch, stitch, stitch on the rest of that. Oh, that's so cute. All right. He's gonna be a second before that green, or not that green, the football's just a little wet. I'm not gonna make you sit here the whole entire time that football's drying. But there we have it. So we've got our gnome, our football heart, and #1 checkerboard design, and our pointillism style heart. So mix and match them for your team. Do 1, 2, all 9 of them. Come back and share in the comments. Show off your team pride. I'd love to see. It can be like a battle in the comments. See who can represent for their area the best. But these guys are all super simple to do. Anybody can create them. Are they all on the screen? There we go. And they're just fun to hide around town, especially if you live in a football happy area. So I hope you guys enjoyed these designs. I'll be back next week with something else fun and new for you to try. Bye-bye.